In the golden glow of Dubai's skyline, one name always seemed to echo in silence and strength: Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. To the world, he was a prince, a symbol of power, wealth, and perfection. But behind the royal title lived a man whose heart carried stories no crown could ever reveal. From a young age, Hamdan was different. While other children laughed loudly and chased simple joys, he often found himself lost in thought, staring endlessly at the horizon. It was as if his soul was searching for something deeper, something beyond palaces, beyond luxury, beyond expectations. His upbringing was filled with discipline, honor, and responsibility, shaped under the guidance of his father, Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Every lesson he learned was not just about ruling a land, but about carrying the weight of people's hopes. As he grew older, the world began to admire him. His courage, his calm presence, his love for adventure, horse riding across endless deserts, diving into the vast blue seas, and writing poetry under the quiet night sky. He became Fazza, a name that wasn't just a nickname but a reflection of his poetic soul. Through his poems, he expressed what he could never say aloud: love, loneliness, patience, and pain. Despite being surrounded by people, Fazza often felt alone. Royal life demanded strength, and strength often meant silence. He smiled for the world, stood tall for his nation, but deep inside, there were moments when the silence grew heavy. Nights became his refuge. Under the stars, away from cameras and expectations, he would breathe, truly breathe, like an ordinary man who just wanted to feel understood. One evening, during a visit to a small school in Dubai, something unexpected happened. Children rushed toward him, their eyes filled with excitement. They laughed, shouted, and gathered around him with pure innocence. But in the corner of the room stood a little girl, quiet and still. She didn't run, didn't speak, she just watched. Fazza noticed her. He slowly walked toward her, kneeling gently so their eyes met. "Why are you standing alone?" he asked softly. The girl hesitated, then whispered, "Because people only come close when they need something." Her words struck him deeply. For a moment, time seemed to stop. In that innocent voice, he heard an echo of his own life. How many people truly knew him? How many stayed without wanting anything in return? That little girl, without realizing it, had touched a truth he had carried for years. He smiled, but this time it was different. It was real, but also heavy. "Not everyone," he replied gently. "Some people stay because they care." That day changed something in him. From then on, Fazza didn't just live as a prince, he lived as a man who understood silence, who recognized loneliness in others, and who chose kindness even when the world expected power. He started spending more time with ordinary people, listening to their stories, understanding their struggles. Because deep down, he knew that titles fade, but humanity remains. Years passed, and the world continued to admire him. Social media showed his adventures, his strength, his fearless spirit. But only a few could see the depth behind his eyes, the quiet battles, the unspoken emotions, the nights filled with reflection. He fell in love too, not just with a person, but with moments. The way the desert wind touched his face, the way horses responded to his soul, the way poetry flowed through his veins. Love, for him, was never loud. It was soft, patient, and often unspoken. There were days when responsibilities felt overwhelming. Decisions that affected thousands of lives rested on his shoulders. In those moments, he would remember that little girl's words. He would remind himself that true strength lies not in power, but in understanding. And so, Fazza continued his journey not as a perfect prince, but as a human being learning every day. Because behind every crown, there is a story. Behind every smile, there is a struggle. And behind the name Fazza, there is a heart that beats, feels, and silently loves. In the end, his legacy was never just about leadership or wealth. It was about the way he made people feel seen, heard, and valued. And maybe that's what made him truly royal, not his title, but his soul. The moment stayed with him long after that day. Even when Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum returned to his palace, surrounded by luxury, guards, and responsibilities, his mind kept drifting back to that quiet little girl. Her words echoed in the silence of his room. People only come close when they need something. It wasn't just a child's thought, it was a truth he had been living with for years but had never heard spoken so simply. That night, he couldn't sleep. He walked out onto the balcony, the cool Dubai breeze brushing against his face. The city sparkled below him, tall buildings, endless lights, a symbol of success and greatness. But in that moment, none of it felt complete. Because no matter how high you rise, there are parts of the heart that still search for something real. He picked up his notebook, the one place where he could be himself. And he wrote, not as a prince, not as a leader, but as a man. His words spoke of silence, of waiting, of a love that never demanded but always stayed. Poetry became his escape again, the only place where he didn't have to hide behind strength. People read his poems and admired them, but they never truly understood. Each line carried a piece of his untold story. Days turned into weeks, and Fazza became more thoughtful, more observant. He began noticing people differently. Not their status, not their appearance, but their emotions. He saw the tired eyes of workers, the quiet struggles of families, the hidden pain behind smiles, and slowly, something inside him began to change. He started visiting places without announcements. No cameras. No formalities. Just him. In those moments, he felt something he had missed for a long time: connection. One evening, while walking through a quiet desert camp, he met an old man sitting alone beside a small fire. The man didn't recognize him. There were no guards, no royal signs, just two strangers under the same sky. "Sit," the old man said, offering him a place beside the fire. Fazza sat down. For the first time in a long time, no one expected anything from him. They talked for hours about life, about loss, about time. The old man spoke of his youth, of dreams that faded, of people who once stayed but eventually left. And Fazza listened, not as a ruler, but as a son, as a human. Before leaving, the old man said something that stayed with him forever. "Son, power gives you everything, except the one thing the heart truly needs: someone who understands you without asking." Fazza didn't reply. Because deep down, he knew it was true. That night, under the vast desert sky, he realized something important. Loneliness doesn't come from being alone, it comes from being unseen. From that day forward, he carried a new purpose. Not just to lead, but to understand. Not just to be admired, but to be real. Years passed, and the world continued to celebrate him, his achievements, his bravery, his leadership. Social media showed his fearless side: skydiving, horse riding, exploring oceans. But behind every picture was a man who had learned to balance strength with softness. And then, one unexpected moment changed everything again. During another quiet visit, he saw her. Not the same little girl, but someone with the same silence in her eyes. She wasn't asking for attention. She wasn't trying to impress. She was just there. Their eyes met for a brief second. And in that moment, Fazza felt something unfamiliar: not power, not responsibility, but peace. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was simple. Real. For the first time, he didn't feel like he had to explain himself. And maybe, just maybe, this was what he had been searching for all along. But life, especially his life, was never that simple. Responsibilities still called him back. Decisions still needed to be made. A nation still depended on him. And so, once again, he chose duty over desire. Because that's what leaders do. But this time, something was different. He didn't lose himself in the process. He carried that feeling with him, that quiet understanding, that silent connection. Because sometimes, love doesn't need to stay forever to change you. Sometimes, it just needs to happen once. And as the years continued to pass, Fazza became more than just a prince. He became a story. A feeling. A reminder that even the strongest hearts carry unseen emotions. And somewhere, deep within all the responsibilities, all the titles, all the expectations, there was still a man standing under the stars, writing poetry, waiting, not for someone perfect, but for someone who could simply understand his silence. This channel is all about poetic stories and emotional content inspired by Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Fazza, the Crown Prince of Dubai. Here, you will find deep poetry, love stories, and powerful lines reflecting his royal lifestyle, silent strength, and emotional side. Backhand index pointing right. Please like and share and subscribe my channel for more beautiful poetry and poems. Red heart. Thanks for watching my videos.